So when we're doing these different drills, a lot of times what we'll do is we'll use our arms to be able to move people around. So we did one yesterday where we came into a choke from here. What I want to do is I want to have you guys move and then use this to hit. So you feel that in your chest, right? So when I spin here, I'm keeping this bent so I can hit with it, okay? Now, ideally, if this is here, I can use that to open his head up and for me to come in, and if he goes to do his closure here, I can still use this, okay? So I want to be in a position where I'm not fully extended and not fully compressed, like we talked about yesterday, where I'm still strong. I can still compress if I need to, or extend if I need to. But what we're working on here, if I can catch them even better. Where's my contact? Okay, just so I can work on getting my hit. If I do this to his head and I rack his head back a few times, it's not going to be a very fun experience. But I push from here, I'm bent. Beautiful thing is, at a certain point, this
Yeah.
if I come here and I press this
yeah.
down, we get a reaction, okay? So don't worry about having to finish it. It takes up a lot of time just to get up and down. If I get to where I can stomp there with my oblique, or I can use my straight kick to destroy the ankle, but here, this just gets us working a bump. But every time here, what's he doing? What happens when you get hit? He's exhaling, okay? If you're hitting or being hit, kind of smart to exhale. This way you forcibly will inhale, but if you're telling yourself to exhale, it's better than holding all of that inside of you while it's being pushed out, okay? So, slow. Slow. Alright, play with that.
I know, right? Yeah.
Okay.
One job.
So if he hangs out a straight right punch, we know that we can go to the inside and that we can go to the outside. Okay? Now, let's think of this as being our distinguishing factor, the elevation of the strike. I can do hoobud and strike above, or I could do hoobud and strike below. That could be backhand, doesn't really matter at this point. We'll get to the technique in a moment. Inside high line, inside low line. One thing that I can't do is go inside and pause, because then I but if we come inside to eyes, the hand isn't a problem. If we come inside to liver, the left hand isn't a problem. So as long as I don't hesitate in the inside, I can move through there, but it's not a place I can hang out. I can't camp there. So when we think about the technique that we're going to do today, we're going to step to the inside, okay? Later, I'm going to be covering a couple of concepts from split, okay? If I'm in this position here, I have one hand where?
In and out.
And one hand where, right? So the split entry is one of those things where I might move in here and then use my body with the pressure on here, pressure here, right? 1, 2, 3. Now we start thinking of follow-up, right? So when you start thinking about the inside-outside, we're going to move to the inside, and it's going to be a 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. What foot am I stepping up with?
The foot is closest to the inside.
Yep. 1, 2, 3. All right. Let's play with this. Off of a punch. What it is he can throw the punch, and I can play with this a little bit. Okay. Okay, good. All right. What am I moving?
Your head offline.
Yep. If I just count on this, if I'm off, I'm still there. If my timing is off, I'm screwed. But if I move my head, even if my hand is off, my head is off too. It's just another layer of protection. Head, hand, reinforced, backhand to the liver. All right, play with that. Start minimal amount of damage. The idea is to start thinking about what's happening that I need to use the knife for. If I just want to create space and pass by, using that cupping of the elbow, how we were doing with our entries the other day, this gives me the ability with my poke here to be able to get this space, which once again puts him into that stumble where I can be behind the elbow. So if I want to go that way, I can always cut, and then here I have the opportunity to do a backhand poke to the kidney, or if he's reaching for me here, I might get that cut and backhand to the liver, okay? So the idea behind this is you have to think of counteroffensive, or if I'm defending and going for an immediate target. So I like to be proactive, so I'm thinking about the control here while I'm cutting the bicep. Now, from here, all I have to do is return the knife to him, and I put that right in the kidney, okay? So if I put my footwork in there here, and I cut and I poke, now I can push on that same shoulder line that makes him stumble, okay? So when you start thinking about this kind of stuff, even if I've got to go this way, I can cut and arm drag, and it puts me in this same opportunity here. So when I cut, I fit into that hole I create. You see how his arm is. Once I cut that, it creates this gap where I can start working in here, okay? Now, once you feel comfortable with this, it only makes sense that we put some disruption in there, right? A little harder to tell what's going on when I interfere with the computer a little bit, right? And it might just be there, okay? I don't want to push him away from me because then I lose all of this opportunity. Maybe he has a knife now. So Something else to think about is from this position, I also have the femoral here. So it puts me into my close comfort zone. But there's nothing to be discredited about cutting the bicep, because most people's influence is in that push and pull. So if I can eliminate half of that right now, by just cutting deep into that muscle tissue, then I'm going to be a lot less resistance on down the road, okay? So whether I cut and grab and pull from my arm drag, or I step and I press and I look for my poke on my kidney. Now even here, once I poke the kidney, I'm just going to bring the blade back towards my arm, and it allows for me to come under the arm here. So if I need to get any type of repetition or pushing into something, or I need to control a weapon hand, from in here I can start worrying about being able to be effective before he can. Okay? This also can kind of come into play here as well. Okay? So if I'm coming through here, I might be using this to open him up to keep control. So if I'm coming around this way and hitting, I might be using this to open him up and keep control, or this to open him up and keep control. But just because you have a knife doesn't mean you lose your grasping ability, okay? So play with these, because Fred would say all of this is Kali. You're doing art form. Really, we need to be able to poke and cut. We need to be able to cut and poke. Okay, so really, for me to put myself in that superior position where I can start working that sewing machine, that's how you save your life. When you want to work the art, we work our angles and our cut, and it's not to say that in that you can't find a lot of defensive concepts, but to think it's a direct translation is kind of a misnomer. Okay, so play with this. Once again, really the emphasis is on the elbow control. Even when I'm cutting here, I'm looking for that elbow. When I'm cutting here, I'm controlling that elbow. It allows for me to get my other angles. You'll even see stuff like this, especially you boys here. We're coming in here.
Isn't that called the devil's triangle there? I did that.
Devil's triangle tends to be more of a wraparound. You'll see it more with baton and stick, but just bear in mind, once I get past this guy, it's very easy for me to choose where I want to go with this. And it's difficult for him to be strong pulling away from his center. For instance, if we're here, you go to pull my arm away from your body, feel how easy it is for me to pull. And this got two hands. I haven't even done anything with my other one yet, right? So you see how you're just structurally at such a disadvantage. It's so easy for me to just pull back to where I am, but he has to pull away from himself. Just to grab right here and try to pull with force away from yourself, you feel everything strained. So anyhow, play with this. I like to think of it as being more off the counter offensive. The other one that I showed was the poke here, which could also be slash here. And you see how it puts me right into a nice position here. If I learn to work this with both hands, it's kind of a sweet one. Okay? So that's plenty for you guys to work on. You'll even see stuff like this, especially you boys here. We're coming in here.
Isn't that called the devil's triangle there? I did that.
Devil's triangle tends to be more of a wraparound. You'll see it more with baton and stick, but just bear in mind, once I get past this guy, it's very easy for me to choose where I want to go with this. And it's difficult for him to be strong pulling away from his center. For instance, if we're here, you go to pull my arm away from your body, feel how easy it is for me to pull. And this got two hands. I haven't even done anything with my other one yet, right? So you see how you're just structurally at such a disadvantage. It's so easy for me to just pull back to where I am, but he has to pull away from himself. Just to grab right here and try to pull with force away from yourself, you feel everything strained. So anyhow, play with this. I like to think of it as being more off the counter offensive. The other one that I showed was the poke here, which could also be slash here. And you see how it puts me right into the next position here. If I